Hello, my name is Kate Jones, and I'm here to introduce myself for Module 1 of EDL 880. Might not be able to see me because I'm having some difficulties with Screencastify and my Screencast-O-Matic, and for some reason the screen share is being a little tricky. So here's my little extended hey before I put up my slideshow. Okay, so a little bit about myself. I kind of reuse the same pictures, so if I've been in other classes with you guys before, but I did try to change it up a little bit over here. Um, just a little bit about me and who I am. I love spending time with my family and honestly have like kind of reworked my life a little bit to make sure that I can be with them as much as possible and be able to be involved in everything that they do after school a little bit more. But a couple of things is my husband Rich, my children Richie and Brian, they're 9 and 6 now. But we love baseball. We're big New York Met fans. It is both heartbreaking and also character building. So it's depending on who you're rooting for, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Um, I personally love reading as much as possible. I try to read as many books. I almost always have a book going, so that's one thing that I really love and is um, helpful for me mentally. And also, I like things like planners and pretty stickers. Sometimes they're not necessary, and I definitely buy way more than I need. But it is something that it's my little hobby. So, other things I like to do. My older son loves running track and playing basketball and baseball, so we go to a lot of his events. My younger guy is in his ninja classes, and he likes thinking that he's a YouTube star, so that's fun to like enact these things. He's not actually a YouTube star. I refuse to put him on there, but personal demographic. So I'm a graduate of Brooklyn College, and I finished, and that's where I got my BA in journalism and my MA in social studies 7 to 12. And I completed the non-degree program at FHSU in May, but I need still 2 more classes in order to get my certification. So here I am. A couple of things I like to do for work besides being a teacher. I'm also a writer or contractor where I do lesson design, curriculum writing, and the one that I'm a little bit more that I prefer is study guide writing. So it kind of keeps my head in the social studies game. Uh, I spent most of my career, 11 years, at St. Edmund Prep in Brooklyn, which is where I'm from. Now we live in Union Beach, New Jersey. But at my time at St. Edmund Prep, wore a whole lot of hats. I was the testing coordinator, the NHS monitor, department chair for the social studies department, and most time consuming of all, the IB diploma program coordinator, and still a social studies teacher. So I was doing all those jobs, and that's kind of the thing that I stepped back from. I loved it there. It was definitely my second home, but I decided to work closer to home once we moved to Jersey. And I now work for the Middletown Township Public Schools as their ASIP teacher. That's Alternate School Intervention Program, where essentially I work with the in school suspension students. We work on restorative practices, we work on social emotional learning. And really, the key to that position for me is building relationships. So, critical analysis, I kind of looked at these articles and split them up based on positive school culture and then culturally responsive schools and so on and so forth. So, a couple of the things that I noticed in these articles where a positive school culture exists would be somewhere that sets high goals and engages staff, involves families and students, builds strong relationships. That's the one I think I kind of keep going back to here. Has consistent and clear expectations. I love that one. I think that one of the things that I've noticed as an IB coordinator and as the ASIP teacher is that no matter who the student is, if you set a high goal for them, there's going to be improvement. So in my IB class, I could have a student who's struggling in a standard level class, but when they come into IB, they exceed what would have been expected of them in the standard level class, even if they don't quite meet the goal of the IB class. So I feel like there's so much to this, and it's so good for them. Uh, at least I always felt that way. And also positivity, being a positive leader, addressing negative but assuming the positive is important. My thought is that by modeling positivity, school leaders encourage positivity. The best way to do this is be consistent in how you approach positive and negative behaviors and actions. Inclusive and supportive school culture, providing meaningful professional development opportunities, supporting teachers with mentoring programs, making personal connections with the families and the neighborhoods, encouraging innovation and student choice while maintaining high standards. Again, that goes back to what we were saying in the positive schools as well, maintaining a high standard while knowing who your students are, encouraging collaboration and involving the community. A lot about what we're seeing with inclusive and diverse schools is it's going to come down to making sure that the community is involved and that you're learning about the community. A lot has to do with also accessibility, school schedules, understanding that some people live very different lives and that it is important to kind of address that in the running of the school. Uh, and changing around the language that you use in your mission statements in order to more effectively communicate. But the analysis here is by celebrating students and maintaining high standards, also communicating with families and community leaders, you show that you're providing a safe and rigorous environment to learn. With equitable school culture, again, that we see this idea again about the high goals and the high standards. I loved here the manifesting a culture of respect, or this idea that if are the action that you're doing, would you do that if your grandma was standing behind you? And I kind of loved that because, I would never have done any of the fresh things I ever did if my grandmother was always there. So, also culturally relevant education, making contact, providing resources, but overall, by focusing on high standards or goals, again, high standards, you're showing the students and the community that you believe that your students can succeed. And by being consistent in your expectations and values, that will help drive the success. A responsive school culture involves outwardly going and implementing courses on diverse cultures with community input, making learning more relevant and effective. Again, we're going to see this idea of relevance and rigor combined throughout all of these articles. Committing to teacher training, good active professional development, making sure the mission is aligned with communities' wants and needs. So, being responsive, being equitable, all of these things are very closely connected. And these schools will ensure that curriculum is rigorous and relevant in order to best meet the academic needs of the students. So my overall statement that kind of comes into play here is equitable, culturally responsive, inclusive, supportive, and positive school cultures can all flourish with leaders who nurture respect, open dialogue, and consistency in the school and community. A key part of this is training open and brave staff members to ensure that the students are being challenged in rigorous and relevant classrooms. Reflecting on this, some of the things that I was able to connect with is the positivity that comes with visible administration and positive reinforcement. How a culture of respect encourages meaningful interactions with the community. Um, Showing a student first, culturally relevant education, and also involving multiple stakeholders of diverse educations. Um, I believe that the schools that I'm working with try to be responsive. However, we don't really have a very diverse um, faculty. And I think that that could be an issue sometimes, that the diversity of the student body is not necessarily reflected in the staff and faculty. Um, I do think that the curriculum challenges students appropriately, and the district has meaningful relationships with community members. Um, I have noticed that my district is currently putting through professional developments that prioritize wellness and equity, and I think that that's very important. And also that the school's committed to professional growth and inclusion within the building, and that there is a swift response in the case of bias incidents. I do believe that we have a rigorous and relevant learning environment. Um, I think that now that COVID is kind of coming to an end, our schools are very focused on relationship building and collaboration. Um, I think that a couple of things we should do to educate our students would be to kind of meet with them about equity issues and what it means to be culturally responsible. And I believe that the staff can certainly work on positivity. I feel like everyone post COVID is a lot less happy in just across like the field. So trying to be more positive in the workplace is a tough ask right now, but I think that it's important. Uh, Here I have my correlation, clear correlation to the standards. The promoting the best interest of students is really what we should be doing at every end. So uh, clearly relevant, and it increased my understanding of the different ways to ensure equity. And by reflecting on this, it reminded me of the importance of building relationships in the building and visibility, as well as an excellent reminder that it's important to keep standards high and students will rise to the occasion. This assignment also reminded me that not everyone will be on board with my plan, and that's okay. My responsibility is to model the benefit of the plan. Thanks so much, guys, and I'm looking forward to working with you throughout this class.